everybody, and Merry Christmas. It is that day of the year, and I thought, how cool would it be just to hang out? Just to hang out as friends, and no matter where you are, no matter what kind of family or support group or friends that you have or that you don't have, we have this community. You, me, and everyone else here. So I thought, man, let's just kick it. Let's just celebrate the holidays and just hang out with one another. So a little bit of an itinerary. This is going to be kind of a variety type video. We have, I'm going to be doing the top 5 most purchased fragrances, male, I guess unisex / men's fragrances this year. And then I have a couple of movies. I'm going to discuss Christmas kind of movies. And then I also have a shoe unboxing at the end, because I got shoes for a Christmas party that I went to. But let's just start. Let's just hang out. Christmas is a merry time for a lot of people, I think. For me, it's a busy time. I play the violin. I'm in a couple of orchestras, and towards the end of the year and in December, it's every day doing a Christmas concert or playing in doctor's offices. Actually really fun. I had a couple cool songs. Got John Denver in there now, and like Don't Stop Believing. Some cool stuff. But it's also happy times, right? A lot of people, happy time, family time. And then a lot of people, it's a sad time. It's a reminder. And I don't think anybody is in that one place every year. Sometimes you're gonna be in a happy time. Other times you're gonna be in a time of grief. A YouTuber fragrance guy that I've mentioned a couple times, his name is Trey Sense, and he just lost his mother like a week ago, and that's sad. That sucks. Ending of relationships, whatever it be, whether it be natural causes or breakups or deaths. What is important is to know that it's only temporary, and I think that helps both ways, to know that sadness and grief are temporary, but also happiness is temporary as well. And I think if we sort of look at it like that, it just enhances it and makes it better and makes us more grateful for the times that we're there. So just know we're here for you. Whatever you're going through in a time of need, come together as a community and it'll be okay. Everything will be okay. Let's get going. So first, fragrances. So, you know what? This video, actually, this list isn't that different from last year. Oh my gosh. So, I'm gonna start 5, and we'll just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll do it that way. Number 5. I guess I should just do one hand, right? Just one hand. 5. And it's actually the most expensive on here, and it is, oh wow, okay, yeah, I didn't think about that until we'll get there, we'll discuss it later on, but from the house of Versace, it is Eros. EDT, toilette. EDT. And this is number 5. It's a great fragrance, don't get me wrong. I don't know why specifically this one. I will say, looking at it, the most wished for and the best sellers, two totally different things. So Eros was not one of the most wished for, but it was one of the best sellers. So that is interesting. And it's a fruity, youthful, playful fragrance. And interesting that the EDT, which is what this is the number 1, because I think it's the worst of the Eros line. Not that it's bad, but I think the EDP is better. Well blended and not as harsh, not nearly as harsh, but that is number 5. And you'll notice, with the exception of this next one, these are all EDTs, and I think people don't understand the difference in the concentrations, and I know it kind of makes me sound like a snob, but an EDT concentration is just not really something that I look for these days. There's really only one EDT that I want right now, and it is Polo 67. But when I went and tried it out, how I do it, I'll go into a store, I'll get all kinds of tester strips and then spray it, and then later on I will go in and blindly sample all of them and find out which one is my favorite. Every single one, 12 I think, with the exception of one, was in Eau de Parfum, or a Parfum, and I picked out the EDT immediately. It's not as rich, complex, you can tell it's dissipating, doesn't have the stain power, the projection. So I think a lot of what it comes down to is people just not knowing the difference between them. So if you look at EDT, EDP, the EDP is $15 more. You're like, shoot, if it's all the same, I'll just do the cheaper one. But it's not the same. This is the mistake that I made when I first started, and I didn't know how big of a difference it was. Let's keep going. Number 4. And this is a fragrance that people have loved for years, and it's a cologne. This is the only true cologne in the top 5, and it is from the house of Offnon, and this is Offnon's 9 p.m. Cool bottle. And I do like the little cap. It's I don't know what material this is, but it's like a magnet kind of material. Hard material. Enamel, ceramic, I don't know. This is a clone of Jean Paul Gaultier Ultramont, which is the blue one, right? And people really like this $25 fragrance. It's an EDP concentration, and it's cheap, but it also tones down the sweetness. The Ultramont is syrupy, sweet, over the top. This tones it down just a little bit. And what is it? Vanilla and fruits, cloyingly sweet, which is why I don't love it. To me, it's overly sweet. But it's syrupy sweet. It's not like sugary sweet, which is probably my preferred profile. It's said, I hate to beat a dead horse, but it's syrupy. That's what I get. So, now, if you want, I think maybe even a better clone of Ultramall, Lattafa's ROMs, silver, amazing. And I think I know it's sweeter, and I think it's more Ultramall than this guy, but that didn't make the list. Next, this fragrance is definitely one that I have sang the praises of many times, and for a good reason. It's a dang good fragrance. Dang good fragrance. This fragrance used to be $10, $12, and everyone and their mother found out about it and started buying it, and now it's twice that, but it's still worth it. This is from the house of Cremo, and this is spice and black vanilla. Spice and black vanilla. So, I'll tell you, very unisex, very unisex. This, if I always like to, try to give comparisons, this is very similar to Spice Bomb Extreme with the vanilla notes. Spice Bomb Extreme is better, richer, more depth. The vanilla is more pure, less synthetic. This, though, is kind of like Spice Bomb Extreme, which is $140 fragrance. And then you also have Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford, which is even more expensive than that, $200, $240 or something. So, to get that kind of profile for $20 is awesome. I have smelled this in the wild. It projects, it lasts, and it's a dang good fragrance. It's a dang good fragrance, especially in this time of year. Spray it on your hoodie, lasts all day, projects like crazy, super good. Just a great, great fragrance. Spice and black vanilla. 3 notes: cashmere wood, cardamom, and vanilla. Simple, effective. I didn't know this until I just looked down and saw them, but we actually have 2 Versace fragrances, and the other one is coming in at number 2 from the house of Versace. We have the Dreamer. Now, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea where this popularity of this fragrance came from all of a sudden. This guy has been here. It's been here for a little while. All of a sudden, people started buying this up, and I think it has everything to do with the name Versace. People see that, they think money, and then they see the price point, they're like, wait a second, I can afford that. There's something weird that happens in fragrances. It does not carry over from fashion. Brioni, Hermana Genozenia, Coach, Kiton. This being one of them, and Versace. Ralph Lauren. They are heavy hitters in the clothing bag department, but not so much fragrances. Fragrances really is its own world, and the heavy hitters in fragrance are going to be the niche houses. They're going to be very different. The exception, I think, is, Tom Ford is very expensive in both. But I think that's why people gravitate towards the Versace's, is that they associate it with designer, having a lot of money. Maybe that's my current theory, because while they're not bad, they're also not great. The Dreamer is, first off, a cool bottle. This is kind of cloudy, very powdery, sweet and powdery right off the base. Not a huge projection monster. Not a huge 5-hour, 6-hour beast. It's sweet. It's subtle. It's not overly fruity. It's not overly powdery. It's a nice blend. It's a nice mix. It's inoffensive. It's a date night fragrance. It's an inoffensive, less powdery and slightly sweeter version of Light Blue by Dolce. But super powdery, just not in your face. Doesn't sting the nostrils like the Light Blue does. But a lot of these powdery kind of cosmetic smelling fragrances, to me, mostly all smell the same as far as their construction is concerned. And just not a profile that I go for. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't like that type of category, I guess. The sort of perfumey, not perfumey, as a powdery, kind of airy type of fragrance. Just don't love it. But it's number 2. And it's number 2 for a reason. It hits. And just because it's not my favorite profile doesn't mean it's not a good fragrance. It is a good fragrance. And then number 1, it dawned on me when I was getting the fragrances to make this video that I don't like this fragrance. I've said it many times in my videos, yet I have probably sold dozens and dozens of this particular fragrance by including it in some of my videos. And I just thought that was funny, because here's a fragrance I would never buy myself, and I've sold them. It's kind of crazy, kind of funny, but you know, I am never trying to force my own opinions, and I try to make my own prejudices known that I do or don't like this profile, or try to make my recommendations off of you and your budget and not my own prejudices. So, can you guess it? Number 1. I think for at least 3, if not 4 years running, the number 1 Christmas fragrance is from the house of Nautica. It is Nautica Voyage. I've talked about it over and over again. My first, I guess, I don't know if I would use the term viral, but one of my first fragrance videos that I made that got over 3,000 views was best presents to give as Christmas presents. Yeah, best fragrances to give as Christmas presents. And it was a picture of me holding Nautica Voyage and saying, please no more. And, well, not enough people saw my video, I guess, but number 1, Nautica Voyage. It is a blues fragrance. What does that mean? Well, that means that it's going to be good in spring, and it's going to be good in summer. But you do not wear blues fragrances in the fall and the winter. So giving it as a Christmas present always confused me because it's like, here's a fragrance. You can't wear it for another 5 months. A little odd, but sweet, aquatic, fresh, citrus, inoffensive. Women like it. Sweet, a little soapy, but you can tell that it's a fragrance. You don't want to spend a lot of money on a fragrance that just smells like body wash. You don't want that. So you can tell with this, it's different. Why don't I like it? It's just not unique. There's nothing special about it to me. And you know what? That's the difference between people who are really into fragrances and, just people that like them. The longer you are accumulating fragrances and testing them, you get very sophisticated tastes and you get bored. You get bored with cedar, patchouli, and bergamot because they're in just about every generic fragrance there is. So you don't like them. However, there's a reason why those notes are used, and it's because people do like them. And that's the thing with Nautica Voyage. The fact I don't like it should mean nothing at all to you, because I have a different nose for these things, and I like niche, but people don't like niche. One of my favorite fragrances is red tobacco. People hate red tobacco. So, take that with a grain of salt. 5 Eros, 4 9 p.m., 3 black, vanilla, and spice. 2 is the Dreamer, and 1 Nautica Voyage. And that's it. The thing that surprised me was the fact it didn't change, except for the Dreamer. The Dreamer got a lot more popular this year, and like I said, I don't know why. Just all of a sudden, everybody wanted the Dreamer. And it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know, with the exception of spice and black vanilla, I did not recommend any of these fragrances for Christmas gifts. So I think there are much better options out there. But that's what we have. Let's move on. So this Christmas snuck up on me. December. My birthday's also in December. And just busy and recovering from the busyness. So it's funny, when you're busy, you don't notice time going by. But then when you do get a second, to rest, then time still goes by. Time still flies by because you are recovering. So man, this snuck up on me. Luckily, I bought one present for everybody. My parents, my grandpa, who is 91, which is crazy, and he still drives, and my sister, and my little nieces. So my other sister is up in New Jersey. She has 4 children, and I don't get to see them much, but the other one, we all live, same area, so we get to spend a lot of time with each other, and I got them all one big gift, and it was the Ninja Creamy, the XL one that has the 12 different modes, make your own ice cream and all kinds of stuff. So I got them all one big present because I know all of them are gonna like it, except for my father, which I got the fragrance, the Joseph Abode Mountain. Oh my god, I forgot to wrap it. Oh, forgot to wrap it. It's in my room. Good call, good call. Thank you all for being here and reminding me of that. Like I said, it snuck up on me. It snuck up on me hard this year. But yeah, so I got them that. But getting back to my point that I was making, I love Christmas movies, and my father is a Hallmark junkie, and I don't think he would be embarrassed by all of you knowing that he loves it. So he's watching Hallmark movies year round. I can't stand Hallmark movies. I think they're all the same. No hate. I just can't participate. Hey, that rhymes. But I do really love Christmas movies, so a couple days before Christmas, like especially this year, I had to binge them because I'm not watching a Christmas movie in June. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just don't do that. And so I had to fit them all in, and I didn't even get there. A Violent Night. I love that movie. This is the first time that I'm not going to be watching it because they removed it from the streaming services. But a lot of the other ones I was able to get in, and it used to be giving gifts. I used to give movies as gifts a lot, so I'm going to show a couple of movies here that either I've watched or grew up with and just really love and have a strong affection for. But there's more. There's way more than just these. And the first one is A Charlie Brown Christmas. I love the tapping noises on the Blu-rays make. I love them. Say in the plastic. I need to do another movie store roleplay, I think, with the crinkle paper and whatnot. I think that's good. It's weird. Some of my videos, they take off and then they do nothing. I think my movie store roleplay is 4,000 views and gets nowhere now. Not a single person watches it, so kind of weird. Charlie Brown Christmas. My mother does not like movies or TV or anything. She's weird like that. But she'll get up for Charlie Brown, let me tell you. So, just nostalgic. You have Snoopy. You got that little derpy guy, Charlie Brown. And this is just a classic. It says back here, how classic holiday delight it is. So, Linus and that awful girl that holds the football and takes it away from him. So my parents were watching that the other day. It was super cringe. My sister was telling me about it, and she said, they're watching the movie, and it's what year is this from? And they got this out, literally this copy, 1965, and they were just watching it. My sister was like, what is going on? So, it's kind of funny. Okay, next we have, I think, probably my favorite, which is really not even, I don't know if it's even really considered a Christmas movie. It should be. So, they came out with the first one, and it was great. I love it. But then they came out with the sequel, and the sequel was incredible. And for some reason, they decided to do this sequel around the Christmas time. I think it just made for a really good plot, but it ended up being my favorite. I think possibly my favorite Christmas movie. And it's one that I always make my family watch, and my father. It's kind of my father and my Christmas movie to watch, at least currently. And it's Daddy's Home with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. The entire premise is their stepfathers, or at least the first one. Will Ferrell married Mark Wahlberg's ex-wife and is raising his children. He's a badass, military. No one knows what he is, like a CIA kind of guy. And it's a comedy, obviously, with these guys. And there's acceptance and love and putting aside themselves to be there for the church. It's really beautiful to be there for the children. But the second one sees John Lithgow and Mel Gibson come in as their fathers. And Mel Gibson is trying to stir up trouble. So he books an Airbnb for them all to celebrate Christmas together, and just stirs up a lot of trouble. And gosh, it's funny. John Cena appears. It's just Mark Wahlberg, amazing. Will Ferrell's really good. Who would have thought that Will Ferrell would be like in some of the greatest Christmas movies? But he is, and here's proof of it. I don't know if this is gonna go weird with the green screen in the back, but this Elf, another Will Ferrell movie, the story of Buddy the Elf, which is Will Ferrell, and he was in an orphanage. His mother gave him up, didn't know, father didn't know that he was even born. And while Santa was at the orphanage, Will Ferrell snuck into his bag, and Santa brought him back. He was wearing diapers from a company called Little Buddy or something, so they named him Buddy. And when he became a man, he had no idea he was human, so they had to tell him. Then they told him where his father was, and it's about him, after being raised as Santa's elf, going to New York City. And it is a classic. A classic, I think, cemented Will Ferrell in Christmas legend history. I mean, seriously, one of the best movies. Now, I don't have this one, but my Christmas Eve every year we used to watch this as a Miracle on 34th Street. That's another good one too. It's just talking about New York City just reminded me of that. So this next one is, gosh darn, it's good. It's good. I watched for the first time the Disney version of A Christmas Carol, and of course, I don't know why I said of course, you don't know this, but every year, Christmas Carol at the play, or at the Playhouse, and the Nutcracker, any Christmas related plays and ballets I can go to, I love, so I usually hit up at least those two. I love the Christmas Carol. I think the Christmas Carol is one of the greatest stories ever told. Charles Dickens did an amazing job, and it gets you, man. It gets you. It hits, and it hits hard. This is a version of that. This is with Bill Murray, and this is called Scrooged. Obviously, play on Ebenezer Scrooge. This is a good movie. So he's obviously the Scrooge thing. He's not a nice guy, and I don't remember what he is, like a producer or something, and gets visited by the three angels, just like that, just like Christmas Carol, except it's a comedy. So he gets visited by a New York cab driver who is the ghost of Christmas past, a fairy who's the ghost of Christmas present, and then of course there's only so many things you can do, the ghost of Christmas future, which just being a maniacal grim reaper. But it's a good movie, man. It's a good movie. The end scene where the Ghost of Christmas Future showed all like the stuff, like a bunch of like little gremlins. It's always used to freak me out. I couldn't watch that, but A Christmas Carol is just so pure, just so. And there's so many movies that I didn't talk about and that are not here, like What a Wonderful Life and Home Alone, and even some of like the newer stuff, like A Night Before. There's so many good Christmas movies. There's so many good ones out there, and even the bad ones sometimes are really good. Watch this one tonight. This is Jim Carrey, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Made in 2000. Crazy. The Polar Express was in theaters this year for its 20th anniversary. That's insane. Wow, I was a child. I was a real little child when that came out. That's crazy. So, Jim Carrey play on the classic cartoon, The Grinch Stole Christmas. The OGs know that is a banger. The new cartoon one, no, that's where it's at. So, if you don't know that, Dr. Seuss, it's a green guy who was blown off course as a child, adopted by sort of more human creatures, and they bullied him because he was different. He retreated and started to hate Christmas. Actually, as you get older, you watch that movie, you start to think that the Grinch is actually the only normal one, because it's all about these people stressing themselves out over Christmas, putting pressure on themselves, having to have the best and the brightest and the shiniest. And he's up there saying, y'all stupid. You totally miss the point of this whole thing. So, it's kind of funny though. Seeing it now, I'm like, man, the Grinch had it going on, but Jim Carrey, wonderful. It took 2 hours every day, I heard, to put that costume on, and from what I hear, it was like torture to wear it, like not like, oh, that's awful, but like actual torture techniques were taught to him, how to survive it, how to be okay, because wearing that was supposedly so close to actually being tortured. It's crazy. So, got one more. Another man who cemented himself into Christmas Hall of Fame of all time. First with these, and then went on to make movies like Christmas with the Cranks, and just is an absolute staple when it comes time for Christmas. And this is Santa Claus. This is the 3 movie pack with Tim Allen. And what can I say about this film? The first one, Scott Calvin, he's in the toy business, is watching his son, goes outside because he hears a noise, hears Santa, yells, Santa falls off, he dies, falls off the roof. He puts on his clothing, I don't remember why, and whoever puts on Santa's clothes becomes a new Santa. So, he becomes Santa. Really good. What was the guy's name? And the first one, Neil. I don't remember what his name is right now. Really funny. And the second one I think is my favorite. The second one, he was unmarried, he's divorced. And in the second one, there is a clause. They call it the Santa Claus. Funny, right? And he has to get married. There has to be a Mrs. Claus, so it's about him. human world, not the North Pole, and Finding a Woman. Incredible movie. I think better than I think better than all of them. Meanwhile, he makes an army, or he makes a toy version of himself, and then that version goes crazy, and he has to fight a toy version of himself with a Nutcracker army. And then in the third one, Martin Short comes in. He's Jack Frost, and he's trying to beat Santa and take his place and become the new Santa Claus. I can't say enough good things about this movie. This is like, maybe I have like a warped sense of thinking, but like I look at these and I remember growing up with that, and I'm just like, even after everyone's gone in my life, I'll still have these, and I'll still be able to put myself right back in those moments. And those times are obviously over for me, and I think I've come to accept that. Definitely not a child anymore, but I'll never have that kind of like childlike wonder. But that's okay, because being an adult, you have a lot of other things you get that you didn't have when you were a teenager or even younger. So, sorry, that got real there. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It's sort of like an acceptance that you all were a part of and never asked for. So that's cool, man. So, anyways, those are just some cool movies that I watched all of them this year. Like I said, there's so many more. Those are just the ones I have on hand. Let's move on. Now, this year, I was able to go to a couple of cool events, Christmas parties, galas, and there was one video that I made. It was my last menswear video where I showed a red tailcoat tuxedo. I wore that. I got it specifically for this Christmas party, and I wore that. I wore a peak vest, which is cotton white. Doesn't have a bag. It's just like a strap. And then white tie tuxedo shirt. I had tuxedo pants, but I did not have shoes. I didn't have tuxedo shoes. Tuxedo shoes are a little bit different. They are either velvet or they can be leather. They usually are high sheen, very, very high sheen, glossy. There's no reason to wear tuxedo shoes unless you're in a tuxedo, and I never had reason to wear it before. So I went on Amazon, freaking Amazon, and I got just about like the cheapest but acceptable tuxedo shoes I could find, and I have them right here. Now, the Christmas party is set and gone, but I put these back in here just to kind of show you. We can do an unwrapping and unboxing together. This is from the house of Bruno Mars. I don't know if they like meant to do a spoof on like Bruno Mars, but every time I see this, I'm like, oh, Bruno Mars. Right at the top, you have this little card here. Now, I have fairly big feet. I wear anywhere from a US 12 to 13. And what I've found is when you get into the bigger sizes, the more variation there is in manufacturers. One manufacturer's 13, is another one's 11. So this is just a chart here, but definitely the one thing that I liked about the Amazon thing was being able to do returns if need be. So here we go. And this one is a 12. It's got these kind of bag looking things. And we'll just grab one. And I'll show you what these look like. So, I mean, like $30 shoes. So, and here they are. Just rubber for the sole. And then it has this kind of like, I'm sure it's, it's fake leather, but this kind of like a fake leather high sheen. And this one has this strap that goes around it instead of laces, because I hate laces. We'll take this out. Now you can see in there. So definitely cheap, definitely cheap. Doesn't pretend not to be. But has a nice like cushy insole there. Has a nice felt. And even the rubber on the bottom was not bad. Now, I don't really have a huge reason to keep these, but I'm going to anyway, just because I liked them. And for $25, I would just have to order more Tuxedo shoes the next Tuxedo event that I went to. So I went ahead and I just kept them, but I thought that they were kind of cool. And the event went really good too. It was probably about 100 people, and I actually sponsored it. So it was literally the most expensive chicken I've ever eaten with my sponsorship, but I think it was worth it. It boosted morale, team spirit. So I think those things can be priceless. So that's about it, guys. That's about it. So I just wanted to take some time, spend some time with y'all. Very relaxed format here, and just say Merry Christmas. And whether you had the greatest day and had tons of friends and family, or whether you didn't, it's okay. It's a season. Both of those things are seasons. And if you wake up tomorrow and you're still breathing, then if you did not like the circumstance that you found yourself in this Christmas, you have an opportunity to change it. Things will get better. Things will get worse. That is what life has taught me anyways. But the one thing that we could do, the one thing that I could do, take some time and congregate together with you all today. Because I love doing that. So, thank you everybody. Again, hope you had a good experience hanging out with me and a good day in whatever season you're in. Until next time, everybody. What am I saying now? I said eat well in my food videos. Sleep well. I'm gonna say be well in this video. So until next time, everybody.